How do we build experiences that enable these new organizational capabilities? The employee experience finds its line of sight in business strategy, its critical context in business and new work design, and its purpose in enabling ways of working. Employee experiences are not built from the ground up using the digital technologies available in the ecosystem. Digital transformation isn't Workday. Digital transformation isn't Cornerstone, et cetera, et cetera. They're built from the top down, anticipating what people need to be successful in the new organization. Employee experience should be expected to lift a lot. Your most important and strategic talent and cultural goals should be the focus of your employee experiences. Stop relegating them to transactions and start looking at them as a change model for culture. To grow in the marketplace, we need a growth mindset in the workplace. To be customer-centric in the marketplace, we need to be people-centric in the workplace. To be innovative in the marketplace, we need a culture of innovation in the workplace, and so on. Good experiences model new work practices. They encourage culturally aligned behaviors, and they help people to find their place and purpose in the new digital organization. Experiences are about critical context, personal glue in an otherwise crowded ecosystem of tools. User interfaces are about tools, and they're about transactions and processes and workflow. But user interface design is not user experience design, and the difference is context. Context that people need, not context that the organization thinks they need. The key is to drop experiences just far enough into the future that we pull people to where we want them to go, where the experience enacts, encourages, rehearses what the future looks like, and it demonstrates what good looks like here. In doing so, employee experiences become a channel of change, a catalyst to building organizational capabilities, a personal assistant to people. Let me show you some examples. You know, there were so many things that I could have brought, so I just tried to bring a wide range of things just to show the concepts that I'm trying to demonstrate here. So let's talk about onboarding. This always interests people. As I like to say, it's like the pain point that everybody loves to hate. There's like no... I can go into any company and say, what about onboarding? And they're like, oh, we hate onboarding. Yeah. Onboarding. So this is from a case study we did on onboarding. You'll see some screen caps and examples. I'll just give you a voiceover to it. Onboarding is about strategic and cultural assimilation first and service delivery second. At least it should be. The employee journey should be a smooth transition from the candidate experience, which begins immediately after offer acceptance. From the beginning, we're all digital all the time, not in business and in people and business scenarios, not in service and transaction scenarios. In other words, onboarding isn't about provisioning computers, getting people signed up for their IDs, getting their benefits registered. I'm not saying we don't want to solve those things, but that shouldn't be our purpose and our focus on a good onboarding experience. Acquainting people to common work practices, methodologies that the organization uses to operate, and business performance goals helps to organizationally align and begin the assimilation process. Getting people oriented and assimilated with their team, their work environment, with their peers from around the organization based on common interest or background or work, help to establish shared behaviors and reinforce culture throughout the process. All the while, they're demonstrating the employer value proposition. Services belong in these onboarding experiences. I'm being kind of a smart aleck about it. Services belong here, but they belong in context to the rest of the onboarding journey. And services, when we do provide them, are personal, helpful, always on, available, omni-channel. This is where you would find a similarity to the consumer space. I want to be able to go to my email, have texts, pick up the phone and call, and all those channels would work in harmony because all the channels understand what I did in the prior channel. So services matter, but services in context to the rest of the experience. I do want to tell you that I worked with a large organization, I won't mention their name, big financial services firm, and they defined their onboarding process as a 2-year cycle, because people would come to that firm to go through the junior analyst training program out of school, and if I punched my clock at this firm for 2 years, I could go anywhere and work. So onboarding to them was to retain the talent after the 2-year mark, not to lose them. So onboarding, when you think about it, is really the very beginning of the career journey, and the more that we can make that a very smooth process, starting from the very beginning, before day one, they're on their career journey, and they see this as a smooth transition into development, training, performance, etc. If you're looking to retain employees, it's a particularly important concept. Okay, so that's one idea. Here's a totally different idea. It doesn't really have too much to do with your space unless you see yourself helping the business redesign work, which I frankly think is a cool idea, but you decide. This is a case study that we did with a client where we were trying to enable frontline workers with new digital tools, imagining new, safer, more fulfilling work for people. So using drones and aerial surveillance, artificial intelligence, and big data, we begin to redefine the role of first responders. Drones, instead of people, become the real first responders with an AI engine assessing damage after a major storm and defining the incidents and the recovery requirements and recommendations based on all of this surveillance. Workers review machine recommendations and data, view aerial photos if needed, and approve next steps. The work is totally changed. The workers themselves in teams, are responsible for claiming tasks based on skills, resources, what equipment they have on their trucks, etc., proximity to damage. So the teams have responsibility, and they pull down the task that they want to manage, and they pass the tasks on if somebody else is better qualified. People manage their own work, and teams collaborate heavily. Project managers now are not on top of people directing them what to do. They're assisting the team. They work for the team and manage with other project managers to ensure that teams are safe, that they're where they should be, that they're accounted for, that we know where everybody is at any given point in time, and they become catalysts to collaboration. First responding people add their own insights. Aerial technology is just that. It's aerial. Once I'm on the ground, I might have a different vantage point of the problem. They can take pictures with their own cell phone, update their pictures and photos, make a decision. The problem is not a tree on a car. The problem is there's a person in the car. The problem is not, so I change the nature of the incident, as a matter of human judgment. The AI engine is continually improved, but human judgment is the critical glue. At no point do people give up control of the overall system to their AI actors or counterparts. PMs then rebalance work and priorities in real time, and learning is the central loop, to everybody becoming smarter in this model. Empowering people, is what the ultimate goal is here. Improving the effectiveness of the team is inherent in the design, and tech stays in service to people. Improvement and iteration is a way of working. Post-incident evaluation improves the process, intelligence, and roles. Everyone gets smarter, work gets safer, response gets faster. Hopefully we have better outcomes for people and communities. But you see my point in terms of new work design. That's what I'm trying to point to, that in new digital organizations, someone's going to have to redesign this work, to make sure that the human-machine relationship is optimized, and to make sure that we make good decisions now about how those decisions or relationships travel in the future state. Just because it's possible doesn't mean we should do it. In other words, said another way. A little bit closer to home, perhaps, the employee journey. So many different slides I could bring you here, so I just wanted to bring you some I thought you might find interesting. The use of immersive experiences, what you might call augmented reality, virtual reality, I call them immersive. Immersive experiences, are becoming commonplace, as you know, in learning scenarios and similar ideas, but over time, they'll play a key role in everyday use. If you've heard the term zero UI as an experience, something like augmented reality is going to be important there. Think about the early renditions of Google Glass now coming into the workforce, and when I put those on, I really see an extra layer of imagery, extra experience, in my workday, and no matter where I go and what I do, I can put things in people's attention, information, data, product information. I can put things in people's attention that I might otherwise have not been able to do. So immersive technology is going to move from its early learning and simulation capabilities to being much more of an everyday idea. We're doing some interesting experimental work here in healthcare in their R&D labs. Kind of fun. Fostering a growth mindset, using these experiences to align people to commitment and cultural ideas where they can be actionable. Join an affinity group, take a leadership role in a community activity that the business is sponsoring, find new ways of defining development, experiences that are actionable for people, ways that I can lead, ways I can participate, ways I can make an impact. If you're moving towards being a purpose-driven organization, you've got to figure out how you get the hearts and minds of people, and a lot of this is engaging them to participate. Accountability for careers. It's a shifting mindset in many of the companies that we work with. This whole shifting career paradigm that I was talking about in this example that I'm showing you, this is using mobility, as a career development opportunity, trying to encourage people to think about mobility as a potential leadership or development path, as opposed to thinking about mobility as a relocation service. You see what I mean? So a lot of times when we're talking about relo, we talk about it as a service as opposed to talking about mobility as a career opportunity. Again, just some eye candy here so you can see the difference. A curated personal learning experience. This is one of the biggest problems a lot of our clients have. They've got so many learning assets in their LMSs and other systems that they lease and purchase. But the problem is people don't know how to manage through all of that. They don't know how to find the context of what would be most useful for them in the context of their interests and career. So we need to think about learning as a curated experience, not as an LMS. Finally, the last example I brought for you was managerial effectiveness. In most of our client organizations, they see a dramatically changing role for managers. In some ways, the managers can be the linchpin of these new strategies. How do we get managers to move into these coaching roles, these mentorship roles? And one of the answers is define and design an experience for managers that looks like that. We give them manager self-service transactions, and we call it enablement. We're going to let them transfer their own people. Oh my God. Are you sure? There's just nothing about that, that drives better management outcomes. Teach them to be good coaches. Show them what good looks like. This is a perfect application for storytelling, modeling, enacting, so managers see the role that we want them to play. In addition, we've got to be serious about it because I worked with a client that hired us to come in and do that, but, they weren't going to really change their performance management process at all, for managers. And we basically said, call us when you feel differently about it. Experiences can't swim against, culture and program philosophy that the business doesn't hold. So you can't put experiences out ahead of the business's philosophy. That doesn't work. Modeling a culture of feedback and conversations. We can make that part of an experience design. This I love, and it ties back to this onboarding experience I was talking about before. Let me check my time. Onboarding that brings people into their work practices, not onboarding that manages HR processes, for gosh sakes. We have to stop doing that. We're trying to get people acclimated to their work, not to finish our processes for us. That's what we called self-service in HR 10 years ago. And by the way, the business knew it. They were like, thank you so much for transferring that work to us. So, but onboarding and manager experiences that onboard people to the knowledge practices of the organization. This idea of not knowledge as a capture and store idea, but knowledge as a way of working. So being able to model that out for people, it gets right down to methodologies. Some of the onboarding experiences that we do in companies that use lean digital as an example of a way of working in operational methodology, we build those into the onboarding experiences. How does lean digital work here? What does it mean about the practices and decisions I might make as a manager? So, making methodologies actionable is a really important idea too. Using business intelligence to anticipate opportunities and drive good outcomes. Look, business intelligence shouldn't look like a big dashboard that nobody wants to read. And that's a lot of what you're seeing. If we just put more data in front of managers, they'll make better decisions. Managers are like, please don't help me. If we put better information and ideas in front of managers, and we put it in their intention, at the right time based on a combination of their role and their interests, now we start being helpful. We resonate, it's relevant, and you can see that what I'm showing on this mobile device is actually a byproduct of data turned into a useful statement that says, Sally, you might want to consider whether or not you've got a surge of, a workforce expected in this upcoming seasonal, time, blah, blah, blah. And all that's really coming through data and business intelligence. Demonstrate what good looks like. As I said before, managers really like this. Show me what good leaders in other parts of the business do. Show me what good teams look like. It's not an unwillingness we've found in our research on managers' parts. It's an unknowing idea. What does that look like? So instead of telling me what it is you want me to do, show me how to do that, and help me find other people who have done it well so that I can figure out how to make it work for me. Global teams driven by diversity of people and diversity of thought. It's a big idea. We can create experiences that connect managers and people in the organization, not to people in their organizational structure, but people whose ideas and interests could help me think differently than I think today, overcome my own biases, and factor other thoughts before a good decision is made. So these are all ways that we can use digital technologies to shape the emerging digital organization, to essentially build those key organizational capabilities. And I like to say that I think HR has a vested interest in the horizontals that I'm talking about. If it's not HR building those organizational capabilities that are common across business units and divisions, I don't know who it is. I literally don't know. If it's not you, then who is going to do that? I think it's up to you separately to decide whether you see a role for yourself in the design of new work. And I could understand how that could change from person to person, and whether or not you think you'd be doing that, or whether that new work design would happen in the business units or divisions. Up to you based on the size of your organization. Some could argue it's an OD issue. I don't know. I think it's a big challenge. It's unclear to me who's going to be doing the human-machine redesign of work in the future state. And just so you know, there's not too many people that raise their hand when I ask. Is it you? So, nevertheless, as I said a moment ago at the beginning, this is what the industry reference list looks like, just so you can visually see it if you go to our booth. And I think these are all smart and good people. Some of them competitors, some of them collaborators. It doesn't matter. I like people with good ideas. I'm going to go so that I can get the next speaker up. Thank you very much. Have a good conference.